The whole state of Michigan. We don't give a damn for the whole state of Michigan. From Ohio. We're from Ohio. We're from Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, it sounds like a symphony of applause. We finally made it back. Balance has been restored to the force. The Buckeyes are back on top, and the bad guys are running for the hills. Finally, Ohio State has rebalanced things. Adam, my co-host, as always, we have a gaggle of Buckeye super fans, of experts of the sport, of huge scarlet and gray followers joining us on the podcast tonight. But first of all, now as always, my co-host Adam Vonderhaar. Adam, how we doing?
I mean, you've been telling your OSU coworkers all day, but the air is crisper, the birds chirp, that more beautifully. It's just life. I think we have finally made it past COVID. We have a full reset. Earth, the world, the US, the galaxy. We are back to uh, pre-COVID time, a better world, a world where the darkness, the northern team doesn't get to win every game, and it just feels really good. I'm doing
The,
great.
the true kings of the North reestablished on the backs of a California kid. Julian Sayan walking into Ann Arbor in his short sleeves, hushing the crowd after he scores the going away touchdown. With that, I mean, I think there's so many places to go. There's so many plays in this game. It truly, and I think, one of the places you could go with this is even in our lifetimes, right? Where does this one rank as far as satisfaction, goes when it comes to the rivalry game? It's almost like it took getting beaten down and falling in the mud, these last couple of years to really feel, just how satisfying it is to beat your rival in a year that you're coming off of winning the national championship, being the number one team in the country, yet there's still something out there, hanging in the balance that's kept this team hungry in their fight to defend the national championship, and they get it all done in Ann Arbor on Saturday. Stanley, we're going to bump over to you, special guest contributor. There's so many plays in this game. You can give us your overall take and then throw us a play or two if you want to that just stuck out to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've hashed out the entire game about 100 times, but I think the real moment I knew that everyone talks about, is this team different? I think Ryan Day's different. The moment we threw that interception and we held them to a field goal, I'm like, okay, we're back in it. Nothing happened, and the play of the game, I think, that fired up the team. It was a 2nd and 5. Sonny Styles blitzes. Their fullback comes around. He blows him up, pulls him to the ground, gets the holding call, and Day's like, you know what? We're just going to decline this. We're going
We
to
don't need
force
it.
them. We don't need it. It's 3rd and 5. They're not getting 5 yards on us. And I think from that moment on, I think between the coaching staff, the teams, the whole team, I think that just sent a message saying we're not afraid of these guys, and we're just going to pound you into the ground.
That play is exactly what we were missing last year, right? The confidence, walking into the stadium and saying, we're the better team. We're just going to play our game and win it, going away. We're going to play confident the entire time. And
Yep.
there's a handful of those that you can point to, Stan. The one that is the most controversial play, if you want to say it, going into the game, the first touchdown the Buckeyes put up on the board. It's 4th and 5. We've just
Yep.
crossed midfield. What's Day going to do? Last year we might have tried a long field goal or heck even punted it, in that situation, playing so conservatively. What do we do on 4th and 5? Bomb. Just like the national championship on 3rd and long from Will to Jeremiah Smith. Who do you go to? Number 4. And the guys on him, 2 guys on him, goes into double coverage. He beats the coverage, whips the guy off the line, and carries the ball for 10 yards before crossing into the end zone and punching that ball home. Abe, we got to bounce over to you here. Special guest contributor, Abram Zehenbauer. He's a huge fan of the Buckeyes. He's been at every home game this season as a fellow season ticket holder. What'd you see Saturday, Abe? What do you want to talk about?
Oh, there's a ton of stuff to talk about, and I'm sure we'll get into a lot more of it. The ins and the outs, the regular plays. Kind of going off of what Stanley said as well. Some of the things that really showed me that this team is different, that this coaching staff took this game cautiously, but still wanted to push the edges of that envelope. Uh, was late in in that third quarter into the fourth quarter. We went on a lot of, we did that 12-minute long, just insane drive down the field. We had Julian Sayan, who I think ran for 3 first downs on a row on third down. Like, he never runs, and we had him 3 times in a row on third down, rush for a first down. Never happens. And then the one that really got me was, I know it was late in the fourth and we were pretty much already, game was pretty much already done, but we're on our own 38-yard line. I mean, we're on our side, 38-yard line. That's not even good enough for Michigan to kick a field goal, really. Like, we're deep in our territory, and it's 4th and 1. And we say, we want to run more clock. So let's go for it on 4th and 1 on our own 38. And what do? We get it. So
get it
like
going
that.
away. I mean, not even close, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's stuff like that. It's the little intrinsic things. We don't have to push when we don't have to. But targeted attacks is kind of the vibe of the game. Conservative targeted attacks, I would say. But yeah, overall, just excited for another magical season.
Absolutely. Abe, just to throw the stats out, and there's no other way to make that game more satisfying than exactly the first thing you brought up, which was the play that ends the third quarter and drags you into the fourth quarter with the Buckeyes taking full control. They go 20 plays, 81 yards down the field, 11 minutes and 56 seconds off of the clock. And the only thing Day's disappointed is that they finish it with a field goal to go up 3 possessions instead of punching in the touchdown to end the game. Unbelievable, big-time football. It's the thing that they've done to us the last 4 years. When you think, hey, maybe we've got a chance to crawl back in this game, and you just can't get off the field on third down. Julian Sayan meticulously going to the sideline because Houdini or a bunch of rats chewed up some power cords. Nobody knows what the answer is, but Ohio State's communication, their headphones go out on the sideline in the second half of that game. No issue for the Michigan technology. Dad, you're watching the game at Adam's house. There's so many plays to go to. Do you have a player? Do you have a memory in the game that really sticks out to you?
I guess the bomb to Tate. I mean, and we've looked at that play over and over. Everyone was open. I mean, it just like their defense laid down. We caught them off guard. I don't know what the answer was to that, but things you really felt starting to get more confident when that happened. That was probably my play I liked the most, but just I don't know. There were so many good plays, and to come back from the deficit where we started, just an unbelievable win.
Two things you bring up there, Dad. I mean, one being we get kicked in the teeth. I mean, a couple of us have mentioned it already, right? Michigan kind of the biggest play of the game is their first play. They pick up 30 yards, Jordan Marshall on the ground, and you think, oh man, if we're not going to be able to stop them on the ground, like what's happened to this defense? That's been so stout all year. I wasn't concerned at that point because they've given up a couple first drives like that this year. They did so against Penn State, against Rutgers, folks getting field goals, on the opening drive of the game. Well, you get off the field and you're thinking, okay, Sayan, this is the difference. You've got an elite quarterback, finally, who can carry you and elevate this team even on the road. We opened the game taking a shot down the field. Coach Day says it to Jenny Taft right before the game starts. We're going to start firing early. He says it to her right before kickoff. And immediately, you take that shot. You give credit to the Michigan defender who makes a really good play on the ball and breaks it up. Second play, interception. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, are we really about to do this again? Will Howard had one of these. Kyle McCord had one of these, right? We've seen this, a handful of times these last couple of years. But exactly what Stan said, when the defense stands up and holds them to 3, and you think, oh my gosh, I mean, we just shot ourselves in the foot twice, and we're only down 6 points, a touchdown, and we can take the lead. You're feeling really good. The other piece on that, the Carnell Tate touchdown, and just one moment for this, and then we'll get into a couple other plays. Going into this week, there was so much stuff said online about Carnell Tate and how he's, Jackson Smith and Jigba of this year. He's getting ready for the draft. He's ready to just be a first-round pick in the NFL. He doesn't care about, playing in a rivalry game like this that doesn't matter. Oh, hell nah, he says, right? Comes into the game, picks up, he finishes the day. How many catches? I got the box score right in front of us here. Five receptions, 82 yards through the air, and a long of 50 for the touchdown to really seal it. A legendary game for an Ohio State receiver in the big house in the snow. And he hits the Paul Bunyan pose in the end zone in front of the fans. I mean, just hands on hips, starts flapping his elbows like he's a bird about to take off. Just an unreal kind of sequence there. Adam, I want to hear your thoughts. Right after there on the recap, we throw the interception. We're driving down the field, and finally we've got the ball on Michigan's 5. And the sequence that transpires after this, where the Buckeyes, they're not able to punch it in, but a really unique play happens. Actually, the only penalty that's accepted against the Wolverines on the day happens right there in that series. Adam, can you just take us through what we will remember as the headbutt?
Sure. So we had Donaldson with a loss of 2 yards right before that. It's kind of the tale as old as time this season. 5 yards is kind of a tough spot for our offense running the ball. It seems like we're pretty good on the 1 yard line, but you get us backed up. You got 5 yards to run. We've had a tough time with CJ Donaldson breaking through, and it looks like, oh boy, here we go. We're going to settle for a field goal. And then Jay Barham, number 1 on the Michigan defense, decides to headbutt a referee. Now, anybody that watched the game knows he was trying to show the ref, I guess, as physically as he could, put the ref into his shoes, what was happening to him by one of our players on the ground. But he made the mistake in that he actually headbutted the nose of the referee, and that screenshot's gone completely viral. I don't know if he thought that was ever going to convince the ref. If he didn't actually hit him, maybe the ref changes his mind. Okay, we'll call whatever this guy's trying to tell me about a headbutt. But no, in fact, they call it on him for assaulting a referee. Somehow he stays in the game, half the distance to the goal. It's a 3-yard penalty for a first down, 1st and goal.
Adam, can I pause you on that just for a second, just to
Sure.
go back on the headbutt? So, obviously that's what every Michigan fan's saying is, well, Ohio State was playing dirty. He's just trying to, show the ref exactly what happened. As I said on my flight home from Denver, Colorado, to the 65-year-old Buckeye fan sitting across the aisle from me in his Ohio State gear, as we're both baffled at that play, I said, he should have gotten tossed out of the game for being dumb enough to think that headbutting the ref would work as an explanation for what happened to him. Not even the headbutt itself, just how dumb can you be thinking that that's going to work? And anytime you make contact with an official,
motive doesn't need to be determined in something like that. You cannot hit a referee, regardless of what you're trying to do, if it's out of malice or whatever. You're right. Pure, just being a moron. He should have been kicked out of the game, but they left him in. And hey, credit to Michigan. They made him sit, I think, 1 drive after that before, or maybe 1 play, and then they let him back in. I'm not actually sure. Maybe somebody followed that stat. But anyway, we get set up from there. You think, okay, well, we're on the 2-yard line. You think we could punch this in, and just a very inefficient run game. And we've had it all season. It's hard to get into the end zone, especially against a running defense that good. I do think we would have had a touchdown without the false start on that 4th and goal attempt, but we'll never know now.
The thing that killed me on that drive, and it was another one of these, like, Fox, I can't kill them enough for this. It feels like we have half the cameras in a Fox broadcast game than we do in an ESPN or ABC or CBS game. We don't have the shot half the time of the guy actually getting into the end zone. So when they actually go for the review, it's like, oh, did he get in? Did he not? How, for some reason, we don't have the shot, going down the goal line. The CJ Donaldson carry, where he stood up on the line and both of his elbows are in the end zone, and they're trying to tell me that somehow the ball, not 1 centimeter, crossed the plane. He's standing there. He's got both arms in the end zone with the ball. Yeah, we don't have a shot saying that he crossed the plane. That was the thing that drove me crazy. And then go ahead, Stan.
But yet they had 5 different angles of Jeremiah's fingers just coming off of the ball enough. Oh, was it a touchback? He only took 14 steps.
Do we need to talk about this? Because in my opinion, it was like, am I taking crazy pills? Joel Klatt on the television is telling me that this is going to be a touchback as I see Jeremiah Smith catch the ball at the 10, take 100 steps into the end zone. Yeah, does he bobble it 2 feet into the end zone as any running back does, after they break the plane? The moment the ball crosses one hair into the end zone and he has any possession, it's a touchdown. If they would have reversed that, it's an indictment on the entire sport when it comes to how we are doing instant replays.
The social media warriors that are farming for clicks, that are showing the zoomed in shot of his cleat out of bounds in the end zone. It's like, okay, I can't even have a discussion with you because you are so stupid and didn't watch this play.
The cleat has nothing to do with any part of the play. The going out of bounds has nothing to do with any part of the play. You've caught it for 15 yards. You're in the end zone. You broke the plane.
But actually, can I say this? I love a little controversy in a win like this. Let them dance and say, "Oh gosh, if this or that," and then let's just go over to the stat sheet, Alan. Let's go look at what the team stats. What's going on here? 1 for 9 third down efficiency from Michigan. Do you think this play specifically dictated what happened for the Michigan offense to not exist? They converted 1 third down. They only went for it on 4th down one time, and they threw a pick to Davison Igbinosun to end the game. Where's the guts? Where's the laying it all out on the line to win a game? They're paying this quarterback $12 million. They let him throw it 18 times. Only 8 completions, 1 interception, 63 yards. I mean, we've done the math. It breaks down to like $14,000 per yard. This guy, that's what they're paying him. The numbers don't work. It doesn't work.
It's what they
Abe,
paid him.
Yep, Abe,
It's
we're
what
up
they
to you.
paid. We're past tense. We don't know if they will be paying him that in the future.
He's going to look great at LSU.
Either for performance reasons or for other changing blue to purple type things. But it's that neither here nor there. I have no inside knowledge. Just
we're
I
getting
was
lost in
also
the weeds.
hearing. Sorry to chime in. Just we're talking about freshmen on their team. I heard Nick Marsh was going to be just as good, or if not better, than Jeremiah Smith in his freshman season. So I'm not sure where he was on Saturday.
Is Marsh our pregame tunnel warrior that bumps into our tight end coach? I mean, folks at home, if you haven't seen this video, Michigan's got to be the toughest guys when the game is not taking place on the planet. It's like before the game will be tough, after the game will be tough, but during the game, we're just going to roll over and let Ohio State pretty much do whatever they want.
Adam, I think we got to convert to that part of the podcast, and we're just going to talk about the atmosphere and the vibes around the game and kind of the extracurriculars, right, that happen. So, like the first things first, the beat reporters on the ground, and you have to remember we talked about it last week on the pregame podcast in the Big House in Ann Arbor. It's one of the dumbest design stadiums that there is, both from a fan perspective and from actual fundamental what makes sense from the flow of people getting to the field and off the field. And the biggest thing that shows that the locker rooms face each other, and there's one tunnel that both teams have to go down in order to enter or exit the field. Okay, so everybody knows exactly where everybody's at the entire time. The beat reporters hear the Michigan team coming out, and they say it sounds primal. I mean, these guys are screaming, they're yelling, they're clawing at the walls. They couldn't be louder to come out on the field. They're hollering for the Buckeye players before they come out of their locker room. If you watched on the broadcast, they're losing it. This team's hyped. They're ready to play. They're screaming. They're so tough, ready to fight. What happens when the Buckeyes come out on the field? That's my best impersonation. All you could hear was the cleats on the cement. They were totally silent, walking out of the locker room, down the ramp, away from the jeers from the Michigan players, talking crap the whole way down, because they knew they were the better team. And if they don't dip down to the level Michigan was trying to drag them to the entire game, I mean, we can talk about a ton of examples of just dirty plays and instigating to a point where in the third quarter, a flag gets thrown and then waved off for a Michigan player embellishing Caden McDonald, throwing him to the ground. I mean, when do you hear about that in a football game? A guy taking a dive like that and a ref picking a flag up because it's that obvious. So just talking about that. And then we can kind of get into the post-game scene as we'll call it, for what transpired afterward. Abe, we'll throw it to you. Talk about any dirty plays you want during the game. It seemed like that was maybe Michigan's only chance, trying to drag the Buckeyes in.
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't, keep a mental log of all these games, this is just every year. I mean, their stadium, as you mentioned, is built the way it's built. No other team has this type of problem consistently, whether it's with Ohio State or with Michigan State or any, Notre Dame or whoever else, a big game they're playing. They always consistently have this problem in this stadium. Uh, and as probably a lot of us were watching the game thinking, guys, we need to chill out. We're getting way too choppy with these guys. We're winning. Just do your play and walk away. Like, just, so yeah, this has been a consistent thing over the years. For those that remember the Marcus Hall and exiting the stadium, go back and watch why Marcus Hall did what he did. In that play, we were receiving a kickoff, and one Ohio State player received the kickoff, and 10 Michigan players surround him immediately and immediately start jawing. I mean, when I say jawing, I'm talking inches away from his face. And so Marcus Hall comes over to defend his one guy versus 10, and they get in a scuffle, and boom, Marcus Hall out. Even though if you watch any of it was totally started by them. So when they're losing, when they're down, that's the only thing they have. They're the only team that does this consistently when they are down. Is to jaw at the other team. So not surprising. It's just I'm glad we didn't get as many unsportsmanlike conduct on us as what could have been. Yeah, overall, just we all knew it was going to happen, and here we are. So
to me, it really shows how far the two programs are apart in the world that we live in modern day college football. The fact that Sharon Moore is even the guy that is coaching there at Michigan, the fact that when we get into games like this, the only thing that they're bringing to the table is trash talk and trying to embellish penalties. Really, the most yards they got in the game were guys taking dives on pass interferences down the line from Davidson Igbinosun and Jermaine Matthews Jr. And if you can't rely on I even wrote it down. Ohio State was penalized 72 yards, 72 free yards were handed to Michigan in that game. Ohio State, 3 yards on the one headbutt play that was put there on the goal line. That was the only penalty called on the guys in blue. Well, not called, because again, Day said, thank you next. We don't need the free yards. We'll take 3rd down and 5 back on that holding call later in the game. But just the way that they attempt to grab you and drag you into stuff, it really just shows you they're classless, and they've lived in existence the last 50 years, right? The adult fanhood of so many Michigan fans is, we're the leaders and the best, right? That's this thing that they've always hung their head on. Oh, we don't have the best players because we need them to have higher GPAs than other institutions around the country. None of that is true. They flushed all of that down the drain. They've got rung up on the biggest cheating scandal in the history of the sport the last 3 years. And now the Buckeyes have finally done the job the NCAA should have done following the Connor Stallion scandal, and they've banned Michigan from 2 12-team playoffs in a row these last couple of years. Not a win last year. That's just how bad their program was. Dad, we'll go back to you. Just maybe talk about the post game. What did you think about Day's comments and the way that it was all handled?
Well, I couldn't be more proud of the way Ryan Day handled that post game, what he said, we're going to win with integrity, basically. And for him to come back from last year, that debacle last year, we haven't talked about it any, but, that's what makes this one so sweet. We should have never lost last year, but everybody wanted his head on a platter. And this guy comes, he wins this game, and he's just like taking the high road. He had his players, under control. They were out there laying on our guys when they would go down. I mean, how many times, didn't you see Bo Jackson? They would just get on top of him and just lay on him. I mean, we never did anything like that. And I think Coach Day just had us on he knows we're on an upper level. We don't need to stoop to what they're doing. And that's basically, what it is. And we've got a high class program going here, guys. And Michigan, is, they're coming off Jim Hairball and this guy here. They're just clowns. I mean, they don't have near the class. They don't have, the players under control. And for whatever reason, I just really appreciate it. It makes it even sweeter, the win. I mean, it was a huge win, but just the way Coach handled it, I mean, we can all be proud of that.
It gave Jim Trussell, the entire thing was we're going to do this with class. We're going to be the better men, on the field. And especially, after what Michigan did last year and what was just like maybe one of the grossest examples of sportsmanship in a game where you've won your third rivalry, game in a row. You go out there and, all you're trying to do is fight. Even after the game, you're putting flags on the fields. When your season's done nothing, you had no success, obviously, last year, than beating the team that ended up actually getting to put a trophy, in the trophy case later on. It was such a zag, from day after the game. I didn't really see it coming. I thought he was going to be like, we've waited a long time for this. These guys, they've made it really hard on me and my family the last couple of years, accusing my brother of hiring a private investigator firm, and being the whole reason behind the Connor Stallion scandal, which was all a lie that Michigan just made up because they couldn't take the heat for what their program had actually done. And what does Day do? He rises above the entire thing. I mean, I'm sure that he had thought about it, for years, leading up to this. What am I actually going to say, when that moment happens? I want to pivot a little bit. Day obviously has his comments there in the post game. Loved it. I think it's iconic and it's going to live on in the history of the rivalry. It really is one of those post game moments. What does Michigan do? As if they've been discussing it on the sideline for the entire second half. Hey guys, we're going to lose the game. What are we going to do after we lose? We're all going to stand on the M and make sure that Ohio State can't plant the flag. That's how obvious it was to them that they were going to get dominated. They had this whole plan thinking, oh, we're not going to let those guys over there bring their flag on the field and really embarrass us at home. Ohio State rises up against it all. Michigan running back Bryson Kudazel, the third string running back, who got a handful of carries and really had no success on Saturday. He's smirking in the post game, saying, yeah, we weren't going to let them do that. We weren't going to let the Buckeyes take their flags out on our field. Oh, it's kind of one of those moments. And the Ohio State players, what does Coach Day say to do? Go celebrate with the fans. Go hop up, do a Lambo leap surrounding the big house.
The shot of our players with our fans, with Michigan just standing on the M like dummies. I mean, I don't know another way to put it. They look.
There's a bad word that would fit in this situation that's not going to.
We're not going to say it on this. Yeah, this podcast. Yeah, we're too much humility here to say the words that they look like. But that picture is going to be hung up in a lot of Columbus, a lot of Ohio resident households, of just a shot of you've got the U of M players so worried that we're going to plant this flag on their M, us in their stadium with a couple thousand Ohio State fans in the stands that have made their way to that side. It's iconic. It's iconic.
One of the most shocking things of the whole day, I thought, was, my God, we're half the stadium. When you look up in the crowd, there's 100,000 Buckeyes is what it looks like. I mean, they're sprinkled throughout the whole thing. It wasn't like that, but it was close to 40, 60, wouldn't you say? I mean, like when you looked into the crowd, it was shocking. I thought from the
I think that was sentiment from both fan bases. I think that was a lot of confidence from Ohio State saying we are going to break this, and that was a lot of Michigan fans saying, I don't know if I want to be here for this one. I don't think this is one that I think I'll just sell the ticket and be done with it.
Abe, I got to go to you for this one. And similar to Ryan Day's comments post-game, it's just a moment that will live on in infamy in the history of the rivalry. Him saying we're going to win with humility. The moment I'm about to bring up. I don't know who was in the Brutus costume on Saturday. He deserves more money. I don't know if he's even on a scholarship. He deserves. He should be. He should be making as much
Medal of Freedom. I mean, he should be at the White House this week getting a medal pinned to him. Maybe Stanley could make that happen.
I'm throwing it to Abe. Stan, talk to your friends in the White House. Abe.
Yeah, I mean, like, if we're gonna have one moment of non-humility, which I don't even know if you can call it that. It's a mascot. That's what mascots
He's doing
do,
his
right?
job.
Um, I don't know if any of you caught it. Brutus was on 97.1 The Fan this morning. I listened to as much as I could, which wasn't much considering Brutus can't talk. But they did. I guess from what I've seen, they did kind of a handler there. Kind of one of the
It
other
was I
Brutuses.
actually listened to it on my ride in this morning. It was
Okay,
the Brutus coach was there, and
gotcha.
the guy who runs the Brutus team was
I
kind of
didn't
being
know if it was
the
one of those
translator.
like, oh, this is actually the Brutus that was inside that during that day, and now we have a different. But either way, what just a great moment. That moment might be if you think back to like the picturesque moment of the game, that might be it, and not a single player is in that photo. That might be the Ohio against the world during the Alabama game. Picturesque. I mean, it's literally going to make shirts out of this. I may purchase one myself. Haven't determined that yet. But yeah, just I mean, what more can you add? It was a simple gesture. It was literally free. It hurt no one, other than the one grounds crew guy that went out there and kind of wiped it off. I don't know if he was
Abe,
required
it
to do
made it
that.
better. The
I know
Michigan
it kind of did.
guy going on the field to wipe it off on his hands and knees. He
Question:
couldn't
was he
let.
required to do that, or was that more of like I'm not going to stand for this type of thing?
That was
I think
amazing.
it was a
I caught that
little
video today. That was amazing.
He's
bit of
he
both.
can't do
I
it
don't
fast
know.
enough. It's like it just came through the headphones. Like somebody's got to get on the field. Get
Yeah.
Brutus off the field.
I mean, the
Uh,
snow was just light enough too that you could read it. Because I think if the snow is thick enough, like if you get like actual accumulation, like an inch, it's tough to. It'd probably be tough, really tough to read. I mean, you really have to dig your feet in there. Just a little bit of that shuffle movement he does with his feet there. I mean, just an all-time.
The fact that
You
it
know,
looks like he's moonwalking as he crosses out the M, like in the end zone. It's so smooth the
yeah.
way that he goes down it too.
And
I'm
if anyone has
go
a
ahead.
problem with it, I mean, like that's on par with the same way that the band will do just randomly. We'll be playing Rutgers at home, and oh, okay, the band's doing their thing on the field. And, oh my gosh, here they've come out and there's a Michigan player, and the band has formed into a giant, and they're stomping on that Michigan flag. We do that's just something we do. It's on par with the crossing out the ends before game day. So just kind of a cherry on top, a dotting of the I, if you will, of the whole game.
I like it. It is so perfect. It's to the point where I'm like, is it the most iconic Brutus thing in the history of Brutus? Like he's 60 years old. Can you point to one moment that and it's so perfect, right? Because it's like that's kind of Brutus. The way they do his personality is like, yeah, he's always up to mischief or whatever. The guy that's in the costume, but it's always kind of like behind the scenes. A lot of the way is like he's just doing little jokes. And yeah, just during a timeout, as the snow's just getting thick enough on the field, for him to be able to do something. And it's kind of like, well, what's he doing there? He's just shuffling around. Oh, he's doing he's doing Script Ohio. He stomps it perfectly as the band's playing the music, and then he says, "I'm not done. It's time to cross out the M in the end zone," and he perfectly X's it out. I mean, pay him whatever he wants, whoever that is. I mean, Day, let's get into the contract a little bit and give the Brutus a cut. I think that
I
Full
really like it.
scholarships, NIL, everything.
The point of the game that it happened to, it was everybody kind of taking a deep breath, going, "Oh, the goose is cooked. This thing
thing's
is
done."
over." And it's like you see this Fox camera pan. Okay, let's see what Brutus is doing over here, and he's Xing out the M. I mean, you couldn't have drawn that up any better. That's like writing a script of how a game should play out.
The amount of people I had reach out to me or I saw at work today who are not college football fans. Obviously, they know I like Ohio State, and they're like, "Did you see what your mascot did? Did you see what your mascot did?" I was like, "Of course I saw it." And the amount of people who don't watch college football were like, "Oh, it was so awesome! I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on Instagram." I'm like, that is exactly what you want.
And it's also just one more
couldn't be more
contrast
perfect.
from the Michigan players get pepper spray, flag planting, how nasty it was last year. And then here's Ohio State when they win. It's like, okay, yeah, our mascot was playing in the snow basically and set Twitter on fire.
It was perfect. I mean, I don't even think it's hyper. I think it will only age and get bigger. I mean, it's truly going to be the background, of images on campus. Like it will be used to decorate, different parts of the athletic facility, just the photos and the content, that will come out from that. It's perfect. There's
Brutus
no other.
Brutus recruiting is going to go through the roof because they're going to use that image as the
Yes.
you want to be Brutus.
You want to be the center of the rivalry, contributing to the win. You can come be Brutus for Ohio State. The two other things, just because we haven't really talked about them enough, and then we'll begin to wrap up. We haven't even said the words of our opponent in the Big Ten championship, and we're not going to. This whole episode is devoted to the most satisfying win in the last handful of years for Ohio State. Two guys that we have to talk about a little bit. And Dad, I think I'll go to you first. I'll get you unmuted here. Bo Jackson. Lamar Bo Jackson. At the beginning of this game, you take a couple shots down the field, it's not working, you turn the ball over, you get the ball back. Finally, you're on the second offensive possession. And what do we say? Bo knows. And the guy just begins to take over the game. What do you think of Bo's effort on Saturday?
Well, he sure earned his place in history for the team in that performance. And when you break it down, you look at the rushing, 186 yards we had, and when you look at last year, I don't know. I know we don't want to talk about it much, but some of the stats when you look at them are kind of like crazy. In that, what a difference! We doubled the time of possession this year, and last year they didn't have as many receiving yards as they did this year. He only had 63 this year, but they had 62 last year, and the rushing, led by Bo Jackson, was probably the biggest difference of this game. I mean, all in all, it opened up the receiving. He was such a threat, and I mean, I think we're finally learning that maybe the goal line stance, or trying to get into the red zone, we can't really send him up the middle. We've got to do something to the edge, or whatever they want to draw up. But I mean, my gosh, the guy dominated all game, and he was a real force that they couldn't deal with and had trouble with all game. So yeah, shout out to Bo. My goodness, he picked a great game to turn it on, and he really had a great game.
Most successful freshman since J.K. Dobbins in 2017. Ever heard of him? I mean, just one of the most incredible, running backs in the history of the program. Bo, to me, I really don't think you can overstate it with the way the offense stumbled coming out of the gates in the first interception. The way that he brought the Buckeyes back into the game on offense and just kind of set the tone. We can pick up first downs. I'm going to get us about 5 yards a carry. And hey, I'm going to break a couple to the outside for about 30 or 40, which he did a handful of times in that game. You can't overstate it enough. You have to have some sort of attack on the ground. You cannot rely on just dropping back, 90 times during a game. And he brought the change of pace to the offense. He kept the defense honest. And because you had such a good rushing attack, that's why you could take those deep shots down the field. Later in the game, they had to keep him honest the whole time. So Bo, unbelievable. CJ Donaldson, really good game. Isaiah West got in for some really meaningful carries later on. The other guy, and it's why I changed my last name to him on the screen here, Julian Sayan. This kid, this red shirt freshman, just
Heisman. Sorry.
I'm not going to just call the prediction now because I'm not going to jinx anybody or anything like that. Sayan gets it done on Saturday. He's taking the Heisman Trophy home for the first time in 2 decades, right, for a Buckeye. He is unbelievable. The way that he bounces back from making that mistake early on in that game, and that was the thing I think that made me feel good about it, was like, Sayan doesn't make decisions like that. Obviously, it was a nervy, he thinks they're playing man coverage. They drop into zone coverage. The corner drops underneath the route and makes a really good play to pick the ball off that was going to Jeremiah. But he doesn't make mistakes like that. After he misses his first 2 passes of the game, he finishes the game, what was it, 19 completions for 22 attempts. He misses like 2 other passes.
19 for 26, so 19 for 24 if you take those 2 out of it.
I mean, he is lethal. He's unbelievable, and he's so unassuming. The dude doesn't look like he's even shaved yet, and he's coming back next year as a guarantee. He's only going to get better, and if he puts a Heisman in his pocket, we're going to begin having some really scary conversations about what this guy could do next year potentially. Yeah, anybody else want to chime in on Sayan? You're welcome to throw anything else in.
Yeah,
Sam.
I just want to chime in. I think that's something that I think since CJ we haven't had is a quarterback who just like doesn't get affected. I think CJ was really good at that. I think Sayan may be even better, where you look at him, he doesn't ever look like he's afraid, doesn't look like the game's too much. He's just like, cool, I just threw a 50-yard pass to Jeremiah. Like, go Bucks. He's just a chill guy, and I think that's where him and Ryan Day have really connected, where I think Joel Klatt said it before the game, his mind is faster than his release, and his release is really fast. So I think
he's here for business. You know,
Yeah.
he's a true quarterback. He's not afraid to sit back there and launch it. You know, he'll throw it all the way down the field. He'll hit guys on, under routes. There was a play earlier in that game. I remember it's like, man, he's run around a lot. And also shout out to the offensive line, probably the best game that they've had the entire year. There were plays where Sayan had 7 seconds to sit back there and throw it down the field. It was unbelievable, the blocking he got. But there was a first down play where he runs out to his right, looks all the way across the field, everything's covered. He throws the ball all the way across the field for a 5-yard gain and hits Will Kamarick in the hands to make it 2nd and 5. I mean, he was just anywhere he wanted it, everywhere, over top, underneath, all the way down the field. He was an assassin. And, after he hits the bomb to Tate and he walks down the field and, he's not flapping his arms or anything, just throws the fingers up and shushes the crowd to ice the game. Just unbelievable. Guys, with that, I'm going to hit the bells. We're going to sing ourselves on the way out, and we're going to get ready for Indiana this coming Saturday. Unreal. The best thing in sports is this rivalry game. So much fun to watch it. So much on the line every single year, and so glad we have so many listeners. Millions and millions worldwide for the Silver Bullet Saga. Thanks for joining once again. As we get the music in here, we'll get everybody to call us out. Shout out Dave Green. Shout out Ryan Day. Shout out
Silver Bullet
Saga.
Good point, Abram. Jeremiah was good. JT made the first down. Jeremiah Smith scored the touchdown.
This was
it.
This was me.
By this many.
Jeremiah Smith caught it on 4th and 5.
I'm just saying.